Rodriguez. Alicia is a Latina writer, published author who is celebrated for exploring culture, spirituality, and storytelling. Her books include Everyday Epiphanies and Manage Your Life Before Life Manages You. She inspires readers to live in alignment with their values. And with over 20 years as an executive coach and a retreat facilitator, Alicia has empowered thousands of people worldwide. Today, we're going to be discussing her award-winning memoir, The Shaman's Wife, which recounts an 8-year journey of self-discovery with an Ecuadorian shaman. And after leaving Ecuador, Alicia moved to Algarve, Portugal, where you see behind her, and she finds inspiration during her morning cliff walks with her dog, Sophie. Welcome, Alicia.
Oh, thank you, Frankie. It's nice to be here. Love that introduction.
Oh, thank you. You know, you are an exquisite writer. You're an articulate writer. Each word is chosen with intention, and you are an expressive writer. You really draw the reader in and you allow us to experience what you're seeing and feeling and thinking. And that's a real gift. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's like the best compliment is when someone says, I felt like I was right there with you.
I imagine it is, yeah. So in the book, The Shaman's Wife, we briefly meet the before Ecuador, Alicia, and a woman that you say is running from client to client in my Michael Kors suits and Dior slingbacks, and I found my life was held together by lattes and a mobile phone. I love that. It's such a great visual. But life was unraveling. And you once had successful business, beautiful homes on Chesapeake Bay, a marriage, a son, but all of that was crumbling. So after divorcing 21 years of marriage, the loss of your home, your two homes, painful separation from your son, financial bankruptcy, you witnessed your mother's battle with dementia.
Yeah,
You say that, you were sapped, your courage and your resilience were gone.
right.
And I imagine like so many of us and your clients that you help, heal, you found yourself asking that age-old question, where do I belong?
Yeah. And belonging is a real big theme in much of my writing and I guess my inquiry around life anyway. And I think how we define belonging, well, at least for me, how I defined belonging before and how I define belonging now is quite different. I think it's a question that we all need to ask ourselves too.
I think so. And a lot of times it happens midlife. I think there's an awakening in midlife. You've lived enough that you can look behind and you have more life to live forward and you go, what's going to happen? Like, am I
Yeah,
doing what I'm supposed to be doing? I'm only here for it. Time becomes not as infinite as it did when you were young.
you just become more aware of it. And I think
Yeah.
also for women, it's a little different. I think for women, um, the challenges that we face as women, working, having a family, and all of that wears on you. And after a while, you notice that you're not in the equation anymore.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a wake up call. It's like, well, what about me? What about what I want? What about the way I want to manifest? What about my own creative expression in the world? Where is that? And I think that does happen in midlife. Maybe because your family is at a certain point. You're already in a career. You've developed yourself, or you've got your own business, or whatever. You've done a lot of things that you set out to do, and like a lot of clients will come to me and at that point and say, I have everything I thought I wanted. Why do I feel like this?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I understand that so much because the same happened with me. And there's a point in midlife where I think giving feels better than receiving. And you start to believe that this is your purpose. My purpose is to give. I'm here to do something beyond myself, right?
Right.
The selfishness that we feel as we're younger. And then you get a little bit older and you truly do become invisible as a
Yeah.
woman. And
Yeah.
that's so disheartening because, I used to walk in a room and people would look at you. Now it's like nothing. They just
Yeah,
bypass
not
you.
even blink.
You're just insignificant. And
I
that,
know.
all the emotions and the hormones and just everything are changing bodies. It's horrible. Sometimes it's really horrible to be a woman, but I wouldn't change it. So
But
there's
it's
that.
like it's a perfect storm, but it's also designed to wake us up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that it's both and, I'm not saying, I have this saying, it's like enlightenment is not found on the mountaintop, it's found in the mud.
Well,
And it,
I believe that. My saying is,
yeah,
change happens best in chaos. Like,
exactly. It's when things are comfortable, you're not
why
really
bother?
thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes, some kind of catalyst happens in midlife. It could be a divorce, it could be the kids going off to college or after college, going off on their life. There's a lot of things that are apt to bring on this kind of awakening piece where you pause and go, wait a minute, is this
Yeah.
really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Or is this really the way I want to live for the rest of my life? And as you said, I live in Portugal. A lot of people who come to Portugal who are expats kind of woke up and their answer was, I don't want to live where I'm living now. I want to find another place to live that is more aligned with the way I want to live the rest of my life. So it manifests in many different ways. Some women, they step out of corporate and they start their own businesses, but they're based on what really matters to them, not some arbitrary
Not about
set of
making money anymore. It's about enjoying what you want to do,
feeling
having a
like you have
purpose.
meaning, like the sense
Yeah.
of like meaning and purpose has changed for you.
Yeah. I
And it's
remember waking up and not having any passion. I go, I need passion. I need passion. Where is the passion? What can I do where I'm going to find passion? Like,
yeah.
it's important to feel that, like, excited to wake up.
Yes, it is important. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with like being not driven in the sense of driven the way some people are and they burn out, but driven by something beyond yourself, something bigger than yourself, a way of contributing to the world. But that also says that you have to recognize what it is you have to contribute. And when you're younger, you don't know that.
Yeah.
You develop that sense of like, okay, these are my talents, these are my skills, these are my gifts. How do I want to use them? And that's the conversation is one of maturity.
That's right.
That doesn't happen when you're in your 20. You're still figuring it out.
100%. So life was unraveling for you, but you held a big secret too. You were holding a secret. And you had a friend, Megan, who was married now to a psychologist and a shaman who came from Ecuador. And you had the secret that you had told her about, that you were mystical and that you had visions and dreams and heard things and voices, something that your mom and parents had said, don't tell people about when you're a little girl because you got bullied for it, which is
Yeah.
understandable. A lot of people don't believe in this call it supernatural or metaphysical or whatever you want to call it. So you thought, okay, well, here's an opportunity. Maybe I can explore this a little bit, this side of myself I haven't been able to think about for a while.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at first it was like I was cautious because everybody and his brother calls themselves the shamans nowadays. But this particular shaman and the shaman that I lived with, they were sixth generation shamans. They were indigenous, they were the real thing. Um, and so that first conversation that I had with Carlos was an exploration. It's like, okay, is he for real or is he not for real? And in that conversation, I realized he could help me understand this ability, if you will, in a different way than I had before. I felt like, oh, I'm different, and that's a bad thing, especially since my mother told me don't tell the Americans and to hide it. He helped me understand it as something that I could use in service of others, a gift, and it hadn't been developed. And of course, in the culture that I was living in the United States, it wasn't really valued. But in my house, the way I grew up as a Colombian in my house, it was normalized. It's just
Right.
bring it out into the world.
Yeah.
It's great for coaching
Yeah. Yeah. I
because
remember.
I could intuit. Like people would say, "How did you know to ask me that question?" And I really couldn't tell them.
Yeah.
It's just my intuition.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so it served me in many ways, but it wasn't until I actually worked with Carlos that I figured out, oh, this I can actually own this. I can accept this. I can embrace this in a way that is good for me and my own creative expression and also at service.
So you decide to go to Ecuador for the first time, and you're going to be helping him with a book, I think. Is that what was
His
going to happen?
Megan was writing a dissertation, and her mentor was Carlos's brother. His name is Napo, And first of all, I'm Colombian, so I speak Spanish fluently. I understand psychology. I had been working with Carlos for years, so I understood shamanism, and Megan was a good friend. So I was like the perfect candidate to go. So they invited me to go, and that's when I met the older brother, and the trajectory of my life completely changed. It was not gonna. It went like this, and then it went like this.
Yeah, did a big zigzag.
Zigzag, and something I just never expected at all. So
Well, we have to explore it. So you get to Ecuador and you meet Big Brother,
yeah.
and did you shake hands? You hugged or something, and there was a spark. What
Oh
was
yeah.
it?
It was at the airport when I arrived. I'd seen him in a like standing off to a ways. And when I went up to him and I hugged him, I just felt this shot of like an electrical current go up my spine. And I remember pushing myself backwards, and he just looked at me and he just said, "Welcome to Ecuador, Alicia." And later I found out that he had felt the same thing. And in his mind, he was saying, "This is not supposed to happen to me." Who is this person? And that's how it started. And then that first week that I was with him, just amazing conversations that I had never been able to have with anyone. And he was very much a teacher, but like he was he just his whole nature was one, at the time anyway, it was one to be able to teach me and to share wisdom and help me understand my place in the world, and whether you call it mysticism or metaphysical, how that could be a gift. And from a shamanic point of view, he taught me a lot about the wisdom traditions and shamanic principles, at least in the Andes, different shamanic
Sure.
principles. They're similar, but like there are shamans everywhere in the world. Just the way they interpret things can be slightly different.
Do they have female shamans there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. All over the world, there are female shamans. I think you hear more about the male shamans, but like
I wonder why that is.
let me guess.
Count the ways. Yeah.
Count the ways, yeah. But no, I met the wife of his brother, and she was a shaman, and there are, especially in the Amazon, there are a lot.
How many brothers were there?
There was a total of four.
Okay.
It was a total of four, and Napa was the second oldest.
Um, Carlos wasn't happy with your relationship. Why was
No,
that? Why he got angry about it? Why is that?
I actually never really understood why he did at first. First of all, I didn't go in looking for a relationship. I went in to do the job that they told me. It's like, I'm going to translate. And that's why I went in. And I don't think that Carlos expected that Napa and I would get so close so fast. Uh, and I don't know if it was jealousy on his part, like, oh, she's my student, not your student, or if he was trying to protect Napo, thinking that I was trying to take advantage of him. I mean, I've gone through, all the reasons.
You don't think it was
And,
the other way around? He was trying to protect you?
no, it turned out that he was not trying to
Oh,
protect me.
okay.
As the story evolves, this was not him protecting me. I wish it had been.
Yeah.
As the story evolved, but no, it wasn't.
And your
And
girlfriend didn't say anything either.
she just told me that she didn't feel it was appropriate. And I said, well, I didn't start this,
Right.
And at the time I didn't know about Napa's dark side. So you know, I wish they had protected me more as
Yeah.
a, and
As a
it didn't.
woman
Yeah,
in a place where you were, because you were vulnerable at that
I
point too.
was. After it was like 7 years of just awful things, one thing after another. I thought, I cannot bear one more thing. I don't think I can handle one more thing. So he came into my life at a time where I was completely depleted, and I had lost my bearings, and I I was just really feeling lost and exhausted. And then there was this spark with the possibility of having this person explain to me, kind of, I called him my navigator. He was like a navigator in the spiritual world. And it helped me make sense of my life in a way that I had never been able to make sense of.
And the idea for the retreat, was that his or yours?
It was his. I wanted to, when we were talking about it, we did a retreat in the Andes, and that's where he posed the idea. He said, we should, instead of hiring a hotel or a retreat center, we should just build our own. Well, it wasn't we.
It was you. It was your money.
I come to find out it wasn't we, it was me.
Yeah.
And I bankrolled it, and it wasn't designed the way I wanted it designed. He just took over. And that's when I started wondering, okay, I think this is not going to turn out well.
And did you wonder where Alicia had gone? Where's this woman who could stand up and
At the
for
time, no.
herself? No.
No, at the time I was really gaslit, to tell you the truth. And I completely surrendered without knowing that I was surrendering.
He
And
started to pull you away from people, right? He started to pull you away, keep you to himself,
isolated
no
me.
friends, no, the way that these men often do. And honestly, you're not the first smart woman that it happens to,
No.
right? It happens to a lot of women,
I
especially the
beat
smart ones.
myself up for a long time about that. It's like, how could you fall for this? How could you possibly allow this to happen to you? You're the one who helps other women not do this.
I
So
know.
it was this, like, I think that was probably one of the most difficult things to resolve for myself, was like to stop blaming myself. He had all the tools. He was a narcissist.
Yeah.
And I had never been around a narcissist. I had no idea. And since I was isolated, it was like chipping away at a rock. Eventually you don't recognize the rock anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfamiliar country, everything was different. So everything feels different and looks different
And alone. I mean,
and
I was,
alone.
because he
Yeah.
didn't allow me to have friends there either. I had
Wow.
one friend, the woman where I stayed after I left
Yeah.
the property.
Yeah. So how long into the relationship was it when the dark side came out of him?
It was about, let me see, 4 years.
So year four, that's when he first hit you?
And not yeah. So yes, the first time that he struck me was 4 years into it, but there were inklings. There was the gaslighting that was happening before that. And
Right. Yeah.
I think the reason I was able to sustain as long as I did was because I would go back to the United States, and then I would meet up with my friends, or I would meet up with clients, and it was like, oh, that's who you are. Remember, that's who you are. And so
Yeah.
when I would come back like having reclaimed some of that, only to like have it be challenged over
I
and
mean,
over.
you had lost everything before you went, and so now you've invested into this retreat, all your money, like your money is there. And even when you're in the US reclaiming who you are, you're thinking you probably don't want to go back, but you have to go back because you got this your investments there. Like
Yeah. And that's,
you have
I
a
think
life there.
that was, I think that was strategic on his part. Like, I had invested my time, my energy, and my money. And I got to the point where I really wanted it to work, because when we did work together with people, it was great. I mean, he was an amazing healer. I cannot take that away from him. He was an amazing healer. And the way we worked complemented the work that we did, and people would leave just transformed. And that was like, that was what we call mana. How do you say that in English? It was like nourishment for the soul,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Manna
right?
from heaven, right?
Like, yeah. And it's
Same in the
so,
Hebrew.
right. So it kept me there. It's like, okay, we can do this. We can do this, and it didn't turn out that we could do it for very long, for me,
He
actually.
wanted to come to the US too. He was angry about it, not
No, he
getting.
didn't. He
Oh,
didn't
he
want
didn't
to.
want to. Oh, he didn't. I thought he was trying to get a
No.
visa or something.
Well,
No.
yes, but I had come to find out it was so that he could be with his brother, not
Uh,
me.
oh, okay.
I didn't find that out until way later, much, much, much later. And yeah, so I also got him the visa, because the reason I got married to him was the only way to get him into the country was a fiance visa, but it
Gotcha.
required marriage within, I think, 90 days or something.
Okay. So you actually were that 90-day fiance.
He didn't even want to wait 90 days. And the thing is that I did fall in love with him.
Yeah.
You know, I did. I loved him deeply. And I recognized his ability to heal was extraordinary. So being in that energy and in the company of that and learning what I learned, you know, part of me says I don't really regret it. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, but I wouldn't be in Portugal.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I
you
wouldn't,
can't
I
exchange
wouldn't,
one thing for another. Like everything
I
happens for a
wouldn't have,
reason.
yeah, I wouldn't have this life. I wouldn't be doing this work. I wouldn't have written a best-selling award-winning memoir. You
Right.
know, if
Right.
all of that had not happened. And in
Yeah.
many ways, we used to talk about it and say it was he would say destino. It was destined. It was a relationship that was destined. And I believe that because I dreamt about him in my 30s.
Wow.
And there was proof that I had a dream in my 30s where I was climbing a mountain and I had fallen and I heard like a banging on the ground and I saw this man approaching with a big staff. That was what the banging was. And he was dressed, he had a black fedora kind of over his eyes and he had a red poncho with a black cross on the back of it. And in the dream, I reach up to like, you know, give me a hand up. And he hits my hand away with the staff, like to say, get up yourself. And he keeps walking. And then fast forward to like 2017, I think it was, I was in Quito and I opened the closet looking for something. And this red, what I thought blanket fell out of the top shelf. And when I
Wow.
it had a black cross on the back. And then I went looking and there was a fedora hat.
Wow.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
that was like, oh
And then you go,
my.
you asshole, you didn't pick me up.
It's like you've been in my aura or space or whatever since for a long time, just in the dream time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the staff that he had a carved tiger at the top, and his animal was the tiger. He had tigers all over the apartment.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that is far beyond coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you almost feel like, that frog in the pot. It's spoiling so slowly, you don't even know that you're getting sucked. You don't know that
Right.
you're dying, right?
Yeah.
You just don't
Yeah.
know.
I
Yeah.
just managed to jump out though in time.
Thank God, eh? Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the one thing I think the biggest lesson throughout that book for you and for anybody who's reading that book is about he talks about love, but he talks about a universal love, like a cosmic love, not the love between a man and a woman. And this also is that love of yourself, which I think is the hardest thing for us to understand. How do I love myself? I don't love myself. But everybody goes, well, you have to love yourself before you can love other people. Sounds so trite
It
sometimes,
does.
doesn't it?
Yeah. And I would agree with you. I think honestly, when I finished, when I was writing the memoir, first of all, I did not know how it was going to end. And second of all, I thought I knew what it was about. I thought it was about, surrendering my power and then reclaiming it. When I wrote the very last line, and people who are listening to this, do not go to the last page. Not go to the last page first. And it was about what in Spanish we call amor propio, which is self-love, but it's self-love not like the new agey way. In shamanism, amor propio means you have this sense of love because you are part of the creator. You are a divine spark of that creator, that divinity. And if you honor that, then how could you not honor yourself? So it's more like self-appreciation as well as self-love. But like at the very end, this concept that he taught me, and it's like in my body, it's in every cell. It's not a mental concept for me anymore. And when you get that, you learn to appreciate yourself. You learn to set boundaries for yourself. You are very intentional about who you let into your life and into your energy. You're very intentional about the way you do your work. It manifests everywhere in your life if you really integrate it. And that was the whole point of the book, of that whole story, was understanding amor proprio. And the irony, I thought, was he taught me amor proprio, and that's what saved me. Eventually, that concept is the thing that saved me. And I just think there's a great irony there.
I agree. Yeah. But he did say that, because I think he said at one point about, he talked to you about love, his love for you wasn't the love for like as much of
A
a man
human love.
for
He
a
said it
human
wasn't
love, a human.
universal love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
How did that feel? Did that hurt?
No, it didn't, because I understood what he meant. Um, Human love is transient. It fades. Universal love does not.
Right.
And quiet. It's like very, very still and quiet, but always constant. I believe that he probably did love me as a universal being, but he did not understand human love. As a matter of fact, I think he rejected the human in himself, and that was part of his darkness.
Mm. But I would have thought, coming from a shamanic family and everybody was a shaman in his family, that the brother would have understood what was happening.
You would think, right?
Yeah, and at least extend you that other kind of love to say you should leave now.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because I had been working with Carlos for 6 years before I met Knuckle, and I loved him like a brother. I cared deeply for him, and that's why I went to Ecuador to help him and Megan. And so it came as a real betrayal for me, a real shock and betrayal that this person that I cared so much about just basically turned his back on me.
And her too.
That, yeah, and her, and I'd known
It's
her
even
for
more
like
so.
years.
Yeah, that had to hurt a lot.
Yeah, that did hurt. That did hurt. And
Yeah,
I don't speak with them at all, and it's better that way.
sure.
And I don't even know if they know that the book exists. So
Really? Wow.
maybe they do, maybe they don't.
I would have sent them the first copy.
No, I don't. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So it must have been scary trying to get away, though, knowing that narcissists are scary. I mean, you don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen. He could kill you in a heartbeat because he's
Well, that's
jealous
why I
and whatever,
left.
right?
I did think that he was going to kill me. We had several instances, but the last one was the one that said, if I stay, I will not survive this. Someone's going to find me. And even I had one friend of mine who would call me every week. And she would say to me, if you don't pick up or you don't call me back, I'm sending someone for you. And she was the only one I told what was really happening. I didn't tell anyone else.
So
There's
tell
a
us
lot
how,
behind that. There's a lot
yeah.
of shit behind that. And I think that's why. And it's
Oh,
all,
yeah.
and interestingly enough, when I lived in Annapolis, I was on the board of the YWCA in Anne Arundel County, and we work with domestic violence victims. And there was a lot of shame with these women. I never thought that I would become one of those women, and I
I was
did.
one of those women, and I know a lot. And they say it's 1 in 4, but I think it's even more. I think it's higher. And there is a lot of shame because you think, how could that
I
happen
let
to
this
me?
happen,
How
and
could
how
that
could
happen to me? Right?
yeah, absolutely.
But
And
it does. But
it,
we were lucky we're survivors and we got away.
when I published the book, I cannot tell you how many emails I received from women all over saying, I never told anyone but.
Yeah.
And they would tell me their story, or they would say, I finally, confronted my abuser, or I finally left this relationship. I read your book and, just gave me a lot of courage. Both women that I knew and had not known that they had that history, and women that I did not know. Interestingly enough, the men that wrote to me, very aware, awake men, would say, I had no idea that women go through this. I had no idea that there could be someone around me who's going through this and I don't know. And it was like really beautiful to hear.
That is
Especially,
really beautiful to hear because it just says, it's not even in their scope of that.
it's just
Yeah, that it would happen to
not,
somebody. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that made everything worthwhile. I mean, when I wrote it and decided to publish it, I didn't publish it thinking, oh, I want to be, famous or anything like that. I wanted to know that if it helps one woman get out of a situation, have the courage to leave,
Yeah.
then everything was worth it. And I received so many different stories from women all over, and it was so, I don't know, just made it all worth it. If it had gone nowhere, if it never won an award or didn't
Yeah.
even sell a lot, it was just
It was
knowing
cathartic at the
that,
very least,
that there
right?
was, and one of the things that you find with memoir in general is our individual stories are collective stories.
Hmm.
My story happens to look like this, but you have a story like this.
Hmm.
And thousands of women have a story like this, different kinds of takes on it, different versions, but it's the same story, which
Right.
begs the question, how do we change those stories so
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Which I guess is, if you look at United, the global goals and getting, rid of domestic violence for women and the work that they're doing, and hopefully, by 2030, which is not going to happen. But women need to rewrite their narrative. They need to come together and stand together and rewrite their own narrative because men aren't going to do it for you.
yeah,
So the women
absolutely.
have to do it. And the only way they can do that is to come together and do it and own their
Yeah,
platform
in
and not let a
community.
man community. Exactly. They need to
Yeah,
do that because it has to change. And
yeah.
especially, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here for just one second, and I know it's your show, but
No, no, go for it.
the women in Afghanistan who have had their face taken from them by covering, and then now their mouths taken from them by not being allowed to speak in public, or even sometimes in their own home, like that, every woman needs to stand up for because if it can happen to them, it can happen to anybody.
It is happening.
It is happening, and it's horrific. Like it's
Yeah,
just not right.
it is
How
happening.
do you erase half your culture, half the world, half the,
Yeah.
are we just delegated to be a whole that a baby comes out? Is that it?
Yeah. But I think, part of what's going on from an energetic and spiritual point of view and a shamanic point of view is what I would call the feminine rising. And so the stronger the feminine energy gets, the more pressure from the patriarchal culture to suppress it. So it's every action has an equal reaction kind of thing.
Yeah,
But we can't stop.
cannot. So
No.
thank you for allowing that. I appreciate that. So
Yeah.
you made it back. You decided, a friend said, "Oh, where do you want to live?" And you go, "I don't know." And what do you like? And you lifted all this stuff, and she goes, "Oh, Portugal."
Yeah, it was like throwing a
It's like
dart at a map,
spin a thing. Yeah, spin the dial.
It wasn't as intentional. And because I said to her, I miss culture, I miss music. I'm so sick of plantains and rice. I need beautiful food. I need interesting conversations. And she said, oh, you'd really like Portugal. And she knows that I don't like cold. So I ended up right smack in the middle. I moved to Portugal. I arrived December 2020 in the middle of COVID, which was, you know, it was challenging to say the least. Plus, I hadn't lived in the city. I arrived to Lisbon, gorgeous
Okay.
city, with my dog. I brought my Ecuadorian dog with me, one
Nice.
of 5 Ecuadorian dogs. And I didn't stay in Lisbon very long because I was freezing. I was cold, and I don't do well in cities. And a friend of mine that I had met on Facebook told me about an apartment here in the Algarve. I ended up moving here because the apartment couldn't be rented because of COVID.
Mm.
And I made my life here in the Algarve, and I have like a beautiful life here, I must say. And
So
I'm
you knew nobody? You had one friend on Facebook? That was it?
yeah. I just made friends. And it's really hard for an introvert.
It
You know,
is.
like I had a policy that I would say yes to everything, even if I wanted to say no, assuming it wasn't harmful.
Right.
But like, yeah, I just kept saying, someone said, do you want to do this? Yes. Do you want to do that? Yes. Do you want to meet that? Yes. And I kept saying yes, 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 yes. And that's how I met people. And that's how I found my way around.
That's amazing. So now
Yeah.
you feel like a native.
I feel home. I feel like this is my place of belonging for now.
Right.
I can't, I've long ago let go of like a forever, but for now, I love Portugal. I love the Algarve. I understand that things could change, but for right now, I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be.
So
I have a great community here.
you're doing retreats there for clients?
Yeah, I do retreats. My signature retreat is Becoming Limitless, where I take one person for 1 week. It's an immersive deep dive experience. People come with significant questions in their lives, like, the meaning of life kinds of questions. Like, I had one person come that it actually was a man, retired, had been a CEO for 30 years, and without the CEO moniker, had no idea who he was. So it was a really deep dive into a sense of identity. And then I had another woman who was a founder of an AI company. She did not, they started taking government contracts, and she wasn't happy with that, but she had golden handcuffs. So we created a new mission statement for her to live into. And now she runs an incubator in Montreal for ideas to change the world.
Nice.
It's like really big questions. And of course, I have the Algarve. I have Mother Nature to be my partner in this. And I curate a set of experiences throughout that week designed to help them resolve whatever it is that they came here to do. And it's a real breakthrough. Sometimes it's the first a little bit of a breakdown, and then
Yeah.
the breakthrough
Well, you
happens.
have to have that.
Yeah, and then the breakthrough happens, and people leave with a lot more clarity, and really they leave changed. And that's my favorite one. And then I run restorative circles where an intact group might come, like 5 people who know each other, come to do some work. Or it could be entrepreneurs, or it could be one of my entrepreneur clients brought 5 other entrepreneurs and wanted to work on self-care, not on their business. They like, we stink at self-care. Can you teach
Yeah.
us how to take care of ourselves? So that was an interesting group. And then I run writing retreats now. It's called Unwritten Journeys, where it's more focused on the mindset of a writer and aspiring writers, and telling your story. How do you tell your story? How do you get to the point where you yourself honor your story so that you can tell it? And I hold space for that. And those are the retreats I run here.
Those
It's
are
one.
awesome. Yeah, it must be really, excuse me, it must be really hard. I mean, as a writer, I'm a writer too. And it is difficult. I think it's difficult to tell the truth. It's important to tell the truth, but it's hard to tell the truth because
You have to be
you're
very
opening up.
courageous.
You have to be very courageous. Like you were very courageous to write that book, because you see warts and all, right?
Yeah,
And
it was the vulnerability stuff was for someone like me who's an introvert and very private, it was a real stretch.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
But it only made it better because it
I
can't
was
just be
honest.
one-sided. It can't be. It has to be the
No,
full potential, right? The full person, the
yeah,
good, bad, and the ugly
yeah,
to come along with you on that journey and see you rise and become successful in the
yeah,
end. Yeah,
yeah. I think
I feel
memoir
for you.
requires an incredible tolerance for vulnerability, and a courage to be as honest as you can be. I didn't put everything in there. It wasn't. I only put things that I felt were relevant to the story. And when you write memoir, you're also thinking, what's in it for the reader? It's not just my story, but like, what's in it for what is the reader going to walk away with?
Right.
For me, I kind of sprinkle different chapters around shamanism and the concepts of shamanism and how they could apply to people's lives today in the contemporary times. And then also the whole journey around how and why do women give away their power, even if they don't notice it? And then how and why do you reclaim it, more importantly? So I always say this isn't a book about trauma. This is a book about courage and resilience.
Yeah, for sure. For
And
sure.
that's really how I frame it.
I'm
And
curious.
understanding coming to self-love and coming to a more appropriate.
Yeah, yeah. So I am curious though, coming from Colombia and the history, your parents and where everything would have just been normalized for you, in terms of the mysticism and the voices and all of the, that you experience. Why did you not go there?
I looked at going there. I actually did. There's not a little, but there's a city outside of Medellin called Bucaramanga that I had fallen in love with. And I was looking at that. And then when Marianne suggested Portugal, the thought occurred to me, I have Europe. then that was the piece
Yeah.
that made the decision. It's like I might come to Portugal, but I have all of Europe here.
Yeah.
I've already been in South America, and I've already, I had actually lived in Colombia for a short amount of time. But like the idea of being able to travel through Europe, and I had also lived in
Yeah.
France. I studied in France in my junior year
But
abroad.
before you went to Ecuador, before like when you were struggling
Oh, well, I did not.
hiding it, like when you were, yeah, did you never think, oh, maybe I'll just go to Colombia and explore this part of me?
Um, I did think of it, but like I have my son
Mm,
and I was married and there was no way that they were going to Colombia with me. So that was just out of the question. And then after I got divorced, I didn't want to be far from my son. So I stayed in Annapolis. Like I said, I never saw Ecuador coming.
yeah, yeah.
It wasn't,
Well,
it's
I was just thinking like a 2 week thing, not a move, like
oh
just,
yeah, no, I had been to Colombia already, but like it, it wouldn't have really done anything for me to go
yeah.
for 2 weeks or so.
So I mean, you learned the practice of shamanism. I mean, you breathed it, lived it for 8 years. Are you still practicing, like as practicing, or is it just a part of you now? Do you want to explore more about this mystical side, or are you done with that? You're cool with you know it all, or what?
So I'm not a shaman. People keep asking me if I'm a shaman. No, I'm not. I understand the shamanic principles. My practice in shamanism is I hold it very close to the vest. I don't promote it. Uh, I use it in a particular way that people don't even notice it, especially I'm in front of them. It's best when I'm physically near the person, and it's a form of energetic work kind of thing. But other than that, I would say with the mysticism, I think it's in my writing. It
Okay,
comes through. I'm working on a book of poetry, and there's a lot of mysticism in there. Uh, and I think that's just so integrated in me now. It's not what I do, it's who I am. And I express it through writing, or I express it through being at service to someone who comes here, or even coaching on Zoom, but much better when they're in front of me.
right, right.
And I still have that retreat center in Ecuador that I'm trying to sell. So if anybody in the beautiful, stunning retreat center on the coast of Ecuador, let me know.
Yeah, I should rent it out to different people, maybe.
And I would
Uh,
lease it out. Actually, that's one of the options. It could be a lease or a lease to buy. Yeah, for retreaters, retreat
how
facilitators.
much is it going for?
It is for sale for 275,000. It's dirt cheap.
Wow. Um, and we should say Napo's gone. He's on the other side.
Yeah, you gave it away. Spoiler alert.
That's okay. Well, he's not at the retreat.
No, he's not anymore. Somebody else is managing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But are the family still involved or
The brother is, which I would like. That's another reason I want to sell it. I want to cut ties with that. That's
yeah.
that's the last remaining thread.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wish you all the best with that for sure. That sounds like an amazing opportunity for anybody who
Well, it could also be an intentional community. It could be a digital nomad space. It has so much potential.
a writer's retreat,
It could be anything that
anything where people
someone
just
who
want to get
wants
away.
to, if someone wants to live in another country and rent out that's like 4 houses on the property, and it can be rented out for income. There's a lot of potential in it. But if it's okay with you, the website is
Yeah. I was going to
oasisinecuador.com.
ask you.
Yeah.
Say it again.
It's oasisinecuador.com, and all the information on the retreat center is there.
Beautiful. Go
Yeah.
there. Go there. And let's give your website.
And my website is my name. It's Alicia M. Rodriguez with a Z. So aliciamrodriguez.com.
Beautiful. And your books are available on Amazon.
They are, and I also write on Substack under Nothing is Ordinary, because nothing is ordinary in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so and more books to come. But yeah, it's on Amazon, and even on the website, you'll see that if you don't want to buy it at Amazon, there are other places to buy it that you'll find on the website.
So you have a wonderful life that you're very happy with. You don't need to change anything at the moment. And I'm very pleased about that. I just think it's great. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy for you.
I, I kind of earned it.
Yes,
I would say
yes,
I earned it. I made conscious decisions that were difficult to make. And, I don't like it when people say, oh, you're so lucky. No, I'm not lucky. I'm
yeah,
fortunate.
yeah.
But I'm not lucky. I did a lot of work to get here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
And I love having people here because it's such a beautiful spot and there's a lot of just healing in this environment.
yeah. Just take a breath, everybody, and imagine yourself there.
But
The ocean.
look at the color of that water.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's stunning. It's stunning. Like the rocks and the ocean, and it's beautiful. Like it just
And
makes you want to come so
I'm
badly.
even though I go up there every morning, I never take it for granted. I never take it for granted. I every day I just say a prayer of gratitude that I have the ability to take my dog and go for a walk on these cliffs and center myself before I start my day. It helps everything in my life, my work, my writing, everything.
Are you still kayaking?
Am I still? Yes, I was kayaking just 2 weeks ago. No,
No.
not this past Saturday, the Saturday before. I love it.
That's awesome.
Rougher. It's a little rougher on the ocean.
Yeah, I would imagine. I would
Yeah,
imagine it
yeah,
is.
I love my kayak. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, we're going to say goodbye to Facebook. Goodbye, Facebook.
Hi, Facebook.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm just going to stop our recording.